Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm Jim. Just watched a movie on Vudu called Model House, and the title should imply that you're going to see some models. And we do, kind of. This is a thriller. It's not a horror thriller, it's just a thriller. Um, it was okay. It's a 2024 film, 1 hour and 25 minutes, directed and written by Derek Pike, starring Scout Taylor-Compton, and Corey Ann Roberts plays Zoe. Corey Ann Roberts is a beautiful young lady who's playing a character that, by the way, is under 21. I hate that. I don't know why that they needed to make that a part of the story. Just leave that out. Anyways, Cora Ann Roberts, she's a half Italian, half African American who grew up in Bali. I was so intrigued by her look that I had to look her up singularly on IMDb as opposed to any of the other characters because she is the main character in this story. And she was actually a model, and she was on the show America's Next Top Model. So she actually has like modeling experience, even though in this movie she's playing a new to the modeling industry character where she's very naive and kind of clumsy um, to a point. And yeah, so we open up with a photo shoot on a beach, and it's all wonderful, and we have models of various sizes and looks. We kind of go through all the tropey uh, model types. We've got plus size, we've got Asian. Uh, Zoe would probably represent the African American model. We have a Colombian model, and we have a lesbian model. So we kind of check all the boxes for the different types of models, I suppose, except blondes. There was no blonde model. And the story kind of opens up with a sequence where we meet model Bella Baylor, played by Lexi Atkins, and she is killed like right away. It was like a very fantastic opening, and that's kind of probably spoilerish, but um, this movie is based around that death. So we have the models. That's how Zoe gets this first modeling gig, is because she's replacing Bella on this photo shoot. So she kind of gets catapulted into this next level modeling because of the need to fill that vacant spot for this photo shoot like ASAP. And so what ends up happening with this movie is it becomes kind of dragged down with this obsession with smaller movie studios and filmmakers to do things to kind of put a public commentary on social media influence and being an influencer. And I don't particularly like those types of movies. I've been involved with watching more of them than I would have liked to. This movie didn't present itself in that manner with the description, so I went ahead. Honestly, full disclosure, I was looking for a very gratuitous movie about models being stalked in a house, and didn't quite deliver on my gratuitous want of this film. So it becomes, after the photo shoot, all the models go to the model house. We get a lot of wasted time with uh, just character development, I guess, if you want to call it that. I mean, we don't really develop the characters at all. It's just more showing the interactions between the girls and kind of picking out their character trait, their predominant character trait, I would suggest, is the way I would look at this first half of the movie. It was an excruciatingly long portion of the movie, which does include a hot tub scene and a risky game of truth and dare that are extremely underwhelming, to say the least. And I kept waiting for Scout Taylor-Compton because she was one of the main draws to this movie as well. I do enjoy most of her movies. And we get a gratuitous dance musical montage with girls, just wanting to have fun, and it disrupts the neighborhood. And so a neighbor from one of the houses nearby decides to come to the door and complain about the loud music. You kids are being too loud. But the lesbian model flirts her way out of him calling the police, and then he goes. We get one of the other model's boyfriends kind of just showing up unannounced, and she was like, "Well, how did you know where I was?" Blah blah blah. And they have to explain the technology-based phone system where they're both sharing their locations, so he knew where she was all along. She sends him away. Okay, so we've had two visitors already. And then we get a home invasion swerve. We get the invaders coming in. We have a couple. One's obviously female, and one is obviously male. And they're wearing these paper mache masks that were really kind of cringe. They did grow on me a little bit. I don't know if they grew on me or I just became numb to them because they were on the screen for so long. But they were styled in the tragedy comedy, like the Greek um, face masks. I'm probably popping something similar looking on the screen now. And okay, that was okay. So their idea was to, hijack the model house, hold them hostage, so to speak, use their social media influence to um, fundraise for the deceased Bella, while all that money was going to go into their own bank account. So that's like the main plot of this whole story. Things go sideways as they will, and it gets really cringy. Like a lot of this movie just was really kind of cringe. And there was probably two times that I kind of got caught off guard. My guard was down very low at this point. I was really at the point of that I had wished I had started the movie, but I got so far into it that I had to finish it for the sake of doing the review, if that makes sense. But there was a couple of times where I did kind of jaw drop. A third home invader pops into the scene, and he was apparently the brother of Scout Taylor-Compton's character, but they made a very clear point several times that he wasn't biological brother, he was like foster care brother, indicating that the two of them had grown up in foster care. I don't know what that had to do with the plot of the movie. It didn't. I I really question whether or not they wrote this Derek Pike, whatever his name is, wrote this movie with the intention of having the third home invader come in. And the reason why there's a third invader who comes in later made sense, but the device of having him be a foster brother didn't. So I'm only wondering, and maybe I'm just being overly overthinking this, because he was a actor of a different color of Scout Taylor-Compton. They had to work in how could he be the brother, and their answer was to make sure we understood that they were not biological brother and sister. I don't think it really mattered. Like, just call him brother. Why not call him just a third member of their group? Like, it didn't really make a lot of sense. And they, like I said, they made a point three or four times to call him, you know, foster brother. So there's tension between him and the boyfriend of Scout Taylor-Compton, the other guy. So there's some stress between those two. That story, that subplot does play out into the end. So that was um, an okay little thing. It was kind of at first annoying, but then it really did make sense towards the end of the movie. We go through a bunch of mishaps that happen that kind of escalate the situation, so that the intent of the home invaders kind of skews. It doesn't go as planned. Things go sideways. So um, through the course of these mishaps, um, things just keep escalating, and we have gunfire and different kind of different brutality happening. And couple, like I said, a couple times where I was just like, oh, okay. Um, Not enough to make the movie worth watching, but um, there were a few times when it was kind of like that. So lots of lots of kind of sketchy plot type things, where we get the gunfire going off, and that's not loud enough apparently to have the neighbor come back to complain again about the noise. Like, um, I kept waiting for some indication that he was going to come back. He doesn't come back, but the boyfriend does, and that makes another whole sideways dynamic. Needless to say, we get down to having a final girl, and you can guess which model that was. And they do a weird thing with this movie where they leave it open ended, where we have Scout Taylor-Compton's character having already been shot and left for dead, but then not dead, and then strangled out with a jump rope, left for dead. But then the police do show up after Zoe was able to cry for help from the neighbors, who just happened to let her go back to the house by herself. There was a lot wrong with this movie. But then they leave Scout Taylor Compton's character kind of out there. And I don't understand why. Like, this couldn't possibly have a sequel. It could not possibly handle a sequel. I hope not. Um, but anyways, if you want to spend the $3.99 on Vudu or Prime, it's an 85-minute thriller that's lacking in thrills and lacking in horror. There's a little bit of gore, with some good kills, but overall the story just lacked, and the characters were not very likable. So it was a hard film to watch through till the end. And that's all I have to say about that. Thanks for watching this review for Model House, and keep checking back to the channel for more great stuff.
Row 18, plot 20.